Yeah, until you know you're actually live. So welcome, Keely.
Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
hi, hello. Um, I'm kind of going through the motions. It's like, oh, um, yep, is it live?
Yep.
Then just yeah, we are live. There we go. There we go. Okay.
Woo!
Hello, hello, LinkedIn world, and oh, I need to mute myself here. Oh, sir. Okay, just gonna make it. There we go. All right. We're just gonna give it a second
Of
until
course.
see who else. Just let people join in um, before we get going.
Before
I'm
we get
actually
to the good
checking.
stuff.
Yeah, before we start sharing our deep wisdom. Well, mine is like shallow, so I brought
Mine
you in
too.
today. Yeah. Oh,
But
that's
between the
that's
two
not
of
good.
us, between
Yeah,
the
we
two
can
of us,
we
we'll
can
figure it
figure it
out.
out. We figure it out. We'll figure it out. Okay. Oh, we are live. Ooh, we are live on. Oh, well, I need to mute myself again. We are live on YouTube as well. There you go.
It
Success all
worked.
around. Yeah, success all around. So I see 27, 28 people joining in. Welcome everybody.
Hi, everyone.
That's hi, hi. Yeah, like so welcome. Yeah, so we're gonna get going in a second. And we're also live streaming on YouTube. So if you go on the Mado channel, um, at Mado Talents is the tag. You can also watch this on YouTube. Might be a better experience, to be honest. Like LinkedIn sometimes is a bit iffy. I am
Yeah.
keeping an eye out on the chat, on the YouTube chat as well as on my phone. See, I'm checking out everything that's going on my phone. So say, let's see. Sometimes people like say hi and stuff in their chat. So um yeah, say hi in the chat, tell me who you are so I can say hi back. But let's get started. Are you
Yeah,
ready, Kiki?
I'm ready. Let's go.
So it's kind of this might be news to you. So the first time we decided, we chatted online, we set up a time to meet, and I remember like just I went on LinkedIn and I started seeing your stuff. I was like, and then
Yep.
I saw that you were the associate vice president of student life and learning for Concordia University of Edmonton. And
I sure was.
I immediately I just felt like, whew, okay, like this is honestly, I felt like, oh my gosh, I need to get my life together. I don't know, like I didn't know Keely was such a huge deal. So that was
No.
so tell the people a little bit about yourself. Tell the
Yeah,
people.
sure. I would love to. So you're right. I have spent a good chunk of my career working in academia and post secondary, and I love that work. So until this past July, yes, I was the Associate VP of Student Life and Learning at a small institution in Alberta. And I've also worked at the University of Waterloo and the University of Alberta. Um, and that is what kind of moved me into like a career coaching space. I went to university to pursue a degree in English, and I ended up doing a PhD in Canadian literature. But along the way, life takes you wild places. You can never anticipate where your career is going to go. And so I started working part time as a career advisor. And I loved that work so deeply. I loved supporting students figuring out what they're doing with their lives, how to sort of navigate, the transition into university, the transition out of university. And yeah, eventually ended up in kind of a leadership position. So, supporting the career services team at Concordia, which was fantastic. But even though I was in a really fulfilling job that I loved, I had an incredible team, I was really missing that, one-on-one work with clients, with students. And so I started a side gig with a business partner, Manoj, and he and I started doing individual coaching for folks who were, at transitionary points in their career. So whether they were just coming out of university, maybe they have been a teacher for 20 years and decide, I'm burnt out, I need a change, I can't do it anymore. What do I do next? Um, so yeah, we have been doing that for about 4 years now. And yeah, just this past summer, I decided it's time for me to take the leap out of my full-time job with the fancy title that impressed you so much. And so, yeah, we are doing tons of work right now with international students at the University of Alberta, and tons of work with individual clients who are, looking to make changes. And it is the most fun for me. I have the best time doing this work. I love coaching people. I love supporting them to figure out what comes next for them. And yeah, that's I think the reason that my stuff started popping up for you, because you are in that same space, Jonas.
Yes, yes. I remember I saw a post that from you. You're writing about something about, I think, fairness, or something related to the international community, something about culture. I don't remember the exact post, but I saw that. I was like, this resonates with me. Like, I like this. So who's this person? So I checked you out, and then we messaged back and forth. We met. And that's kind of the power of networking, right? What you put yourself, like with the stuff that you put out there, sometimes is like people see what you have out there. So I want to welcome Gifty, Elias, and Debeli. Welcome, welcome. So I see it in the LinkedIn. They're here. And the other thing that I really, really have appreciated is that you have so much experience working with international students and immigrants, right? You are, and that, I think, um, somebody who's able to understand that space can understand the unique challenges that are faced in that area. And
Mm,
a part of the reason that I wanted you today on the Mado podcast, or this session today, is because of that. So super stoked. And yeah, we have Maximilian here as well. Thank you. Hey.
hi.
Um, so let's get going. I guess my
Yeah.
first question is, and I'm gonna get into it in a sense. What have you learned? Like, so you've been doing this for a while now.
Yep.
So, what would you say are the typical challenges people face when it comes to
Yes.
career? Let's start with that. I think that would be
Yes.
a very interesting point.
Absolutely. So, I mean, first off, I just want to say, I do have tons of experience working with international folks, working with students who have come to Canada from abroad, even some people who are, looking to come to Canada at some point or working remotely. But I obviously don't have that lived experience. I'm a white girl from Alberta, right? But my business partner, the way that we actually met is that he came to Alberta to do an MBA. And he had an engineering background, was really looking to make like a big shift into a very different space in terms of he didn't want to be an engineer anymore. He was ready for something different, but helping him understand how his skills were transferable from engineering into a new space. And I actually think, even more importantly, from an international context into the Canadian labor market. We had the best time working together. He made an incredible transition, and I'm so proud of him. He works for the government of Alberta now. Um, but I really saw in that interaction, and in some work with some other students around that time, that folks who are working internationally or who have come to Canada, it's just really tough to know exactly how to market yourself, because as a Canadian society, and in my opinion, this isn't great, we put so much emphasis on Canadian experience. But international experience is just as valuable as Canadian experience. Sure, context is different sometimes, but that is one of the things that I've seen as, a real challenge for lots of the folks that we've worked with over the past few years is just how do I articulate my incredible experience in a way that Canadian employers and people in my network are going to understand and value?
You are literally just like hitting it on the head, because I'm hearing you and I'm like, this is the perfect person to have here today, because the struggles are the same. So if you look at a person, let's say in Ethiopia or anywhere globally, who's trying to find work in the for US companies or Canadian companies, how to present yourself is so important, like in a way that the culture, you're speaking the same kind of language, you're kind of
Yes.
you're signing the same signs, you're saying the same things so that people understand. And then the other thing that really spoke to me is the fact that there are a lot of people for remote work, um, that you might need to change career paths,
Yeah.
because some types of work, some type of work is not really conducive. And I've met a few, let's say, civil engineers. I've met a few architecture people where they come to me and they're like, "Hey, I want to do remote work." But then, like, all my experience has been, I've been on site. I was a civil engineer. I was on site. I don't know, like, how do I change trajectories? So I mean, yeah, I'm so excited. So I think let's start with whichever one you prefer. So one is like somebody in a different career trying to transition into something else. And then the second is, how do you present yourself to, let's say, a Canadian or a US market?
Hmm. Yeah, sure. Maybe let's start with sort of that like Canadian context piece,
Perfect.
um, because I really think it's important to, if you are looking for remote work in North America, or if you're looking to work in North America with an international background, it can be a little bit tricky sometimes to really strike the balance between um, appealing to that Canadian reader of your resume or that Canadian hiring manager, while also staying really true to, who you are and your background. I often see folks come to Canada or look for work in Canada thinking that they are bringing nothing,
Mm,
unfortunately, and that breaks my heart. That makes me so sad, because they have so much to offer. And so I would say that that's one of the things that, I really want people to take away from our conversation today is like,
that is so
you
true.
have so
That
much to
is so
offer.
true.
And it's really just in how you present it, right? And so making sure that, you're doing some research and getting a sense of what the Canadian labor market is like, what the American labor market is like. I know that internationally, in some contexts, technical skills are a lot more sort of like highlighted and emphasized. And in Canada, those are important, but soft skills are the key in every single situation. And so I've seen so many folks who have incredible experience, incredible credentials, but because they're not highlighting any soft skills on their resumes or in their interviews, a Canadian employer is overlooking that talent. And so that's, I think, one of the things that, folks who are looking for remote work in Canada can do is just, how can I present myself not only as someone with fantastic technical skills and expertise in this area, but also as someone that, is going to really vibe well with the team, is going to communicate really well, is going to be able to, manage the projects, especially in that remote context. Those kinds of things matter so much. And I often hear from international folks that they didn't realize how much that matters in the Canadian labor market. So that's one thing that I really think, um, should be emphasized when we're, supporting folks who are looking for remote work in Canada.
That is so true. And one of the things that I've been telling people a lot is like, make video content. And we're making video content for Mado, because I'm like, you need to, on paper, it's very difficult to showcase your soft skills. And the way you do it is like through audio or video content. If you can
Yep.
make, like, if you are applying for a job and you can send video, do it, like
Yeah.
that, because you humanize yourself. One, people get to see you as a person as opposed to a name on a paper. Sometimes your name can be like foreign sounding, which is tough for
Yep.
employers. Like some people just want commonality to some extent sometimes. So I've had situations where, you're applying, but then your name looks different as opposed to like maybe 99% of the applications they get.
Yep.
So humanize yourself, send video so that they feel like, can I see this person in my team?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So,
And that's the reason that LinkedIn is so powerful. Because, I've done a ton of hiring in my own life. My business partner currently does a ton of hiring. And I always, every single time I see an application cross my desk, I go look for that person's LinkedIn profile
100%.
because
100%.
it's where the good stuff is. If they've
Yes.
been, featured in an article, if they've done some really cool projects, if there's video content that lets me see their
Yes.
personality and their
Yes.
vibes,
There you go.
that's what sells me on them,
It
right?
does.
Because
It
it's more than
does.
just a piece of paper.
That is so true. And that's one of the things that I've been just harping on over and over. It's like your LinkedIn page is like your shop front,
Yep.
right? Everybody's gonna come and check out your LinkedIn. So if you wanna like present yourself well, and a lot of people focus on like experience, and those things are good, but then like make content. Like if you're an
Yeah.
expert in whatever your area is, talk about it. Like if you're going to conferences and stuff, like share, like use it to convey yourself in the best way possible. So amazing. I mean, this is such good stuff. Okay, so now what else, what do you want to talk about next? Where do you want to go next?
I mean, one of the things that I think, is so powerful about LinkedIn is that it gives you access to so many different people, again, globally, right? Um, but I do think one of the things that just can be so important, and this is honestly something that I'm still really working on in my own personal branding and my own online presence, is really just making sure that, you're networking online with intention, not just sort of like randomly sending messages to people, really being intentional and thoughtful about who you're connecting with, and then also how you're connecting with them. Um,
Mm,
in the work that I do, I get so many LinkedIn connections, and I love that. I love being able to, find more folks who are interested in what I'm doing and supporting them if I can. But so many of them just hit connect, and I don't have an opportunity to actually build a relationship with them. And in a lot of those cases, I'm not hiring right now. I don't have a job for you. Um, and so I wonder sometimes if maybe that's part of the reason that it feels very transactional. And so
mm,
that was the other thing that I just thought about chatting about a little bit today, is just making sure that, when you are networking, especially in a virtual space, really being thoughtful about, how you're connecting with people. Networking needs to feel relational, not transactional. I don't want to feel like you're asking me for a job, even if you really want the job that I'm hiring for right now.
yes.
Right. And this is even more important, I think, in a Canadian context. Canadians are famously polite, right? That's our international reputation. You
Oh
have to
yes.
be subtle with us. You can't come out and just say flat out,
Yeah.
I want a
Yeah.
job. You need to sort of build the relationship up to that. And so that
Yep.
applies just as much online as it
Yep.
does in an in-person
Everywhere.
interaction.
Everywhere. It's like relationship building.
Yes.
And sometimes it's kind of we can liken it to dating. If you approach somebody that you like and you're like, I love you, you're amazing, I want you. They're like, oh my gosh, like, okay,
Run
block,
away.
block, block.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like so and I definitely, that's something I want to explore. The relational versus transactional approach. Um and in a sense, like you can go down the very like transactional route, um in a sense where you can go extreme, where you're like, I'm connecting with these people, these types of people, and then etc. Like you could be very, very like rigid about it.
Yeah.
I do feel like, at least for me personally, um it makes me icky to do that sometimes, so I just network with everybody, where I'm in there, I'm commenting on everything,
Yeah.
I'm liking everything. um and then of course sometimes I also think, okay, who needs to hear my message? Like, who should I be connecting with? Like, yes, it's great that I'm in the CPG space,
Yeah.
where, because right now that's one of the things, I'm in the CPG space where I'm talking to everybody. I'm like, this has no relationship to my business whatsoever,
Yeah.
but I just like these people and it's fun, like I'm connecting. But then the flip side is to think, okay, um I'm helping Ethiopian talent find work, I should be connecting with Ethiopian talent. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
So, like just having that balance between being intentional, and then also kind of being human. Like,
Yes.
don't be weird. Like, just be human. Like, I don't know, even, okay, I'm not gonna go on a tear, but it's like, even with some of the commenting, people are just like, excellent post, I liked it. And I'm like, bro, be show personality. Like,
Yeah,
say
that's not how you
something.
talk in real life,
Yes,
I
that's not
promise
how you
you.
talk. Like, yeah, if you're gonna interact
Yeah.
with people online, say something reasonable, say something smart, say something witty, say something funny. And
Yeah.
I've like, lean into your personality. Let's just say I'm very like, I'm that way. So like in my comments, you'll definitely see me coming across as like very genuine, who I am. I've started a bunch of, like, I've gotten into spaces where I've started conflict. Well, not conflict, but I'm like, everybody's kind of like, oh, I love it, this is amazing. I'm like, no, I don't like this, and this is why I disagree.
Yeah.
And then there was this funny thing that recently happened where I ended up getting like 50 something likes on a comment I made,
Wow.
opposing whoever the person wrote, because I'm like, and I feel like there's a silent minority that listens, and they're the kind of like, they don't want to say it, but when somebody says it, they're like, I like this, yes, this is
Yeah.
me. So we're going a bit off track, but show personality, like when you
Show
network.
personality. Be
Yeah.
yourself. Be yourself. You don't have to sort of like put on this mask or this alternative personality. Obviously you want to stay professional, but what that looks like, that doesn't mean I talk to folks about this all the time. Professional does not equal formal. Right. And I think
Mm,
sometimes people assume that they have to have this very sort of like rigid professional tone when they are, interacting with people. And especially if, the other person is setting a more relaxed tone, especially if you've interacted with someone a few times before and, you've kind of established a bit of rapport between you, it's okay to loosen up. And again, show your personality, right? Be yourself, because that's what's going to build like an actual connection between two human beings. And you never know where that can lead you, right? Like there's absolutely no knowing whether that person is going to be able to connect you with someone who's going to lead to the next career step for you. But if it is possible, the person that you've connected with has such a great sense of who you are as a person, how you're going to conduct yourself, your personality, whether you're going to be a good fit, all of those things. You're checking boxes long before you're even in an interview process. And that is
yes.
so powerful.
Yes, I want to put that on a plaque. Professional does not equal formal. I just want to like
Yes.
get it printed, put it somewhere, maybe right here at the back, profession. Because I think a lot of times, like, even with messages I get, uh, I'm like, who are you? Like, you
Yeah.
sent me, ChatGPT could have sent me this message,
Yep.
right? Like, show some personality. Like, to me, I think that's kind of something that's really, well, on one side, I understand professional. I'm not very professional, from the typical sense of whatever.
Sure.
So I dislike that a lot. Like, I was in corporate. Um, there were a lot of moments where I wanted to say what I wanted to say. Like, I didn't want to be professional and say, I don't know if this aligns with our goals. I wanted
Yep.
to say, this makes absolutely no sense and this is dumb. Like, but so it's not professional to say that, but what I mean is a part of the reason I started my own thing is because I just couldn't. I don't like masks.
I
Like
get you.
I don't want to wear it. I don't like when other people wear it. So for
Yep.
me, like showing who you are, and then people decide, do they like you?
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. You get
Yes.
fans, like people who love you, and then there are people who won't like you, and it's fine. Like,
Yep.
but then if you're in the middle, you show no personality. You don't get anybody who loves you, and you don't get anybody who hates you.
Yep.
But then you, what's the point,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And that's something that I hear from people who are, actively looking for jobs all the time, which is that, they feel really nervous about being themselves and showing their personality because what if someone doesn't like me? But the question that I always ask when I hear that is, if someone really doesn't appreciate, your communication style or your sense of humor, do you want to go work for that person? Do you want that to be
Yes,
your boss? It's actually
yes.
really similar. You brought up earlier how, sometimes folks will be biased if they see a resume or an application with a name that is, perhaps intimidating to their little English speaking brains, right?
Yeah.
And so students will say to me sometimes, like, should I change my name? And I'm kind of like, you know what? Honestly, if you can find a name that you truly identify with, that you want to start using, go for it. But do you want to work for someone who is going to judge you and make a snap judgment simply based on the fact that you have a name with more than two syllables? Probably
Yeah.
not, right? And so that's the
That's a
thing is,
good point. I mean, you raised
yes,
such a good point.
be yourself, right?
Yeah, and I can relate. Like, I think when you're on the other side, where you kind of want to get your foot in the door. For
Yeah,
example, Jonas, the English version of my name is Jonah.
yeah,
I would guarantee if I had Jonah Samuel, and then that's what I sent in, th-
yeah.
it would really increase my chances of somebody
Oh,
responding.
you're being
And
so
I
strategic, right?
yeah, you're being very strategic, and like some people are like, no, 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 this is my identity, this is my name, I don't want to change it. And it's like, yeah, you're losing a bit of an edge. Understand how the world works. Perfect, I love that for you. Do what
Yeah,
you want. And then
yeah,
the other side is I've had people who are like, yeah, like people are having a very hard time using my name, so I'm just using the English equivalent. I don't care. And I'm like,
no,
good for you. Now you're actually probably is going to help you quite a bit,
yeah,
get in front of the right hiring people. But then it's kind of the way I look at it is I try to work with how the world is, not
yeah,
how it should be.
yep,
Like, it's very, those two things are very different.
yep,
And sometimes we just have to work with how the world is. And guaranteed, if somebody sees a Western sounding name on your paper that you
yeah,
submit, your chances of getting considered go up astronomically. It's going to
they
increase
do.
by a lot.
Yeah,
Um, this is just reality. So if you're listening, but then if you say, hey, this is my name, I'm going to take the loss and edge, I'm going to take whatever comes, perfect. And I think that's, I love that for you. Good, do it. So I think, but knowing and making those distinctions makes
mhm.
a lot of sense.
Mhm. I had a
I
client just the other day ask
Go
me,
ahead. Mhm.
he has a Spanish last name with an accent, and he said, "I really feel uncomfortable getting rid of my name the way that it's properly spelled, but I'm really nervous about
Mm,
including it on my resume." And that was the exact advice I gave to him. I said, "If you really feel strongly that this is something that is important to your identity and you're not willing to give it up in this context, don't do it." But
yeah.
if you are going to do that, you have to realize that you're probably going to get a little bit of pushback from some people. Some people are going to look at you and they might write you off, right? Again, that's just the way the world is.
It
But if you
is.
truly don't care, and if your job is just like, okay, I just want to get myself out there, I want to be in front of as many people as I want to, and um, that's your focus, you have to make compromises sometimes, right? And
Yes.
That's okay.
I hear that on so many levels. The Amharic or the my mother tongue, the version of my name is Jonas, and after a while, I gave up trying to help people say
Say
back
it.
because it's so tough for them. And like I'm like, is it worth it? Like, do I want to spend the first 5 minutes of every conversation teaching people how to say my name properly, or do I just go Jonas and that's it? Like,
Yep.
and that's what I did. I was like, I am not gonna spend like 5 minutes in every conversation teaching people. And even when I did, this it's still very difficult to pronounce my name the same way because they're not a native speaker of the Mark language.
Yeah.
It's very tough for them. So I'm like,
Yep.
Jonas, yeah, just say Jonas. Uh, doesn't matter. Like
Yep.
so
Totally.
I hear that on so many levels. That makes one. I want to say I'm loving this. This is such a great conversation.
Me too.
I feel like I should have you as a co-host. Like this is
Oh,
amazing. Oh,
heavens.
she's like oh I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what do you want to explore next? Like, do you have something off the top of your mind or?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess one of the things that I think, especially for folks who are, looking to get into a remote workspace, um, I talked earlier about being intentional, and one of the things that can mean is making sure that you are sort of actually carving out time to be intentional, whether that is being brave enough to start more actively using LinkedIn and comment on people's posts, whether that means reaching out to some people who you think could be possible mentors for you and inviting them to have some real conversations. Having the time and really putting some investment into that process can be so valuable, particularly if you're looking to get into a new space or a new labor market where you don't already have an established network. It can take time to establish a new network, and so just making sure that you are ready and willing to sort of carve out time in your life every week, just to make sure that you're establishing some relationships, and then you're also maintaining relationships, you're maintaining a presence, you're following up with people, you are sending them articles to say like, hey, this made me think of our last conversation. Those kinds of things are so helpful in terms of
Yes.
keeping you at the top of someone's mind, because I said earlier, it's not just about finding a job. And if someone doesn't have the position to get you a job, if someone doesn't have any positions open on their team right now, um, you don't know, in 6 months or 5 years from now they might. And so
Yes.
maintaining just sort of like uh not don't overdo it, but maintaining a bit of a presence
Yes.
is so helpful in terms of keeping you at the top of someone's mind, so that when something
Yeah.
does come up, you are one of the first people that they think of, and they can say, hey, I really think that this would be a great fit for you. I would love to help you apply.
That is the power of networking, and even you don't even know how it works. It's like magic sometimes because you don't know
Oh,
who's watching, right? You
yep,
don't know who's watching. So, especially with content creation, I've had some amazing conversations with people that I never thought I would be able to because I
yep,
started making content. It was just like I started posting stuff, people started to see it, and they
yep.
started to engage with it. And then some, you get the message is like, hey, I like what you're doing. Should we meet? And you're like, whoa, this is super powerful. So, in a
Yes,
sense, staying top of mind, being and it is work. Like I think some people, um I've heard stories where they're like, oh, I applied to almost 100 jobs now, like, and it's like, yeah, it is work. You're gonna, and of course I do think there's a smarter way of doing it with building relationships, as opposed to like I saw a LinkedIn job post and then I said quick apply. Like,
yep.
I
Nope,
don't
nope.
know about that one. So a flip side, and I think a part of what you're talking about, and this is what I tell people is, um, think who in my industry are good connections, are people that I would want to see my content,
Yep, yep.
right? And then
And I want to emphasize that is not always the person at the top.
Oh,
That
oh
is
yeah,
not
oh
always
yeah,
the hiring manager or the VP or the
oh yeah,
CEO. That is not, it's not just about status, and I think especially in a Canadian context, that's really true. Because sometimes, no offense to the old white guys out there, but the CEO is an old white guy who's not on LinkedIn. Or who
yeah.
has a LinkedIn profile but never actually looks at it, right?
Yes, never
Um,
engages, never does that.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that's the thing is, really, and that's, I think, goes back to what I was saying earlier about being, thoughtful and intentional, right? Taking a look at, who not necessarily who is hiring in the role that you would want to be working in, but who's currently working in the role that you would want to be working in? What has
Yes.
their journey been like? What could
Yes.
they maybe tell you about what it's like to work at that company or the values of that company? That person is not going to be the person to hire you. They're not going to get you a job. But they have a lot to offer in terms of helping you understand what it would be like to do the job, to work for their boss. Those kinds of things are just as valuable. And so, again, it goes back to that idea of it's not about what the person can do for you, it's not transactional. It needs to be about building a real, sincere relationship,
Yes.
and just being open minded and curious to whatever that might bring you.
Oh, you're speaking my language, Keely. You're just speaking it. So true. And actually, I've told some people as a, like, if you had some companies, and I tell people this, have some companies that you want to work at.
Yep.
And then if people, let's say, go through their stuff, are people active on LinkedIn? If somebody is actively posting, that is such a good resource. Just follow them.
Yes.
You don't even have to connect. Just follow them. Hit the notification bell on every time they post. You're in there. You start building that relationship,
Mhm.
real relationship. Like, um, and then it's so powerful. Actually, it's funny because I'm like, yeah, you can actually start at the top, bottom, and work up top, where you can connect with people at, like, not maybe senior levels, but then you know what will happen after a while? The CEO will be like, why does Jonas have 73 connections with people in my company? Like,
Yes.
what is, yes, what is, like, does he own the company? Like, what's
Who
going
is
on?
this
Like,
guy?
yeah, is he the CEO? So you could actually work backwards, right? And just
Totally.
build this massive momentum. And what Keely was saying, like, it makes so much sense. Like, even if a company that you're interested in is not hiring, to say, hey, I'm a junior in this space. Like, if once you build that relationship, to say, I see you're a senior, you've gone forward, I would love to learn. Like, I have some questions. Here are a few of them. I would love to learn from you if you could spare like 30 minutes, an email.
Totally.
People are so willing to help. Like, and some of them will be like, hey, I don't have time. It's fine. But then the more you put yourself out there, now you have that conversation with that person.
Yeah.
Now they know you. You've built that relationship. Down the line, if a job opens, it's like, I really enjoyed talking to Keely. She,
Yes.
yeah, and she's smart. She's motivated. Um, and who do I want to hire? Right? Like,
Yep.
so you're really setting yourself up for maximum benefit if you do
Yep.
networking really well. And I'm a huge, and I think a part of what happens is people get a job and then they disappear. They stop building. They stop
Yep.
building relationships, and when they lose a job, they come back and it's emptiness, right?
Yes.
So, man, we have, like, I've been slacking. I've been slacking on my job on the Slack, on the chat.
Ooh, what are
Everybody's,
some questions?
I'm kind of, I'm looking. I'm like, one, I want to welcome Manoj. I see Manoj in there. Manoj, hi.
Manoj,
Like,
hi.
Manoj is Keely's co-founder, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, everybody say hi to Manoj. So Manoj is in there. And then let me see if we have some questions. So welcome, Katama, Caleb. Thank you so much. Nekacho. Nekacho is asking, is there a high demand for cloud or DevOps engineer? Okay. That is a good question. Um, I don't know. Do you have anything to say on this, Keely, or should I start tackling it, this one?
I mean, honestly, the context of that question is important. I might need a little bit more information to give like a really good answer, but if you have any thoughts, Jonas, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so basically, probably this is remote work out of Ethiopia, is what I'm assuming. So
Yep,
they're probably trying to find work with North American or Canadian companies. And what I would say is there's always opportunity for somebody who is talented.
yep,
Who's if your skills are good, if your soft skills are there, there's always opportunity. I would say the market is a bit tough right now
yep,
in tech. Uh, like a lot of layoffs have happened, which has made it a lot more people are in the market and looking. So I would say though, at the price point that you're trying to enter at, usually there isn't as much competition. Like for the global remote, it's not because
totally.
people are looking for like 100K plus salaries. So if you're going in at that 70K mark, 60K mark, you should be good.
Yep.
So yeah, there's demand. Always, of course, there's always demand for uh, talented people. And then let's see other questions. Okay,
And I
so
just
if
want to
you have any, go
and
ahead.
just say, like, if you can make yourself stand out in some way, you're right. The market is flooded right now with folks who are looking, right? And so I think it's more important than ever to be really, really focused on having a strong application that's super tailored to, the specific company, the specific role that you're looking at. Because you need to stand out. They're going to get hundreds of applications. You need to find a way to make sure that your application gets a second look.
Yep. That there you go. There you have it. That is so true. I mean, it's so competitive. It's
It is
so competitive that you just have to compete. And a part of and I do think there's a massive edge to be had in the content creation space. I think like because not a lot of people are really leveraging LinkedIn. I do
totally.
believe that let's say you're in cloud or DevOps, get in there. Like at
Yes.
least make sure have your portfolio,
Yep.
have your man. I always forget. Like I've worked with devs a decent amount, but there's um man, there's this platform, there's this website where they can put their portfolio, their
Yes.
software development stuff, and everybody keeps reminding me too. That's the funny thing. Everybody's like in the chat, it is whatever, and I'm like, yeah, it is that exact thing. So it's been happening a couple of times, but yeah, like have a portfolio. If you've built some
Yes.
stuff, like have your portfolio on there. I see people without pictures on LinkedIn,
I
like
can't.
I can't even.
No.
I'm like, okay, so you decided today that you don't want a job. Is that what it is? Like
Yes. Yes.
literally. So
Yeah.
if I come to your LinkedIn and you don't have a picture, I'm sorry.
It's
Like
over. It's over for you. I'm sorry.
it really is over for you. Like a lot of people don't, and I think I can understand from the Ethiopian context. Sometimes LinkedIn is not as important in the culture. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's not as important, but they don't know. Like in North America, the first thing people do when they look at your CV, resume, whatever you sent, the
Yep.
first thing they do is they go on LinkedIn, they look you up,
Yep.
and then they check out your profile.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
like, if you're linked, go
And
ahead. So go.
you can leverage that because anyone can say, I have excellent technical skills with this tool. Anyone can say, I have really strong leadership skills in managing, multiple projects and communicating with stakeholders. Where's the evidence of that? Right. And so that needs to show up in your application. But even more importantly, it needs to show up in your personal brand and in how you're presenting yourself online. Because it's one thing to tell me what you can do, it's another thing to show me what you can do. So if you have a link that I can click that's going to take me somewhere that demonstrates your skills, that is going to be 10 times more effective than just sending me a resume that tells me about what you can do.
Yes. And as you said that, one thing that popped into my mind, I recently got a recommendation on,
Okay.
I had forgotten about
Yep.
the LinkedIn recommendation
Oh,
feature
yeah.
where, so one of the things you can also do is if people like you in previous spaces that you've worked in that people have been really happy with you, ask them to write you a recommendation and say, hey, I
Yes.
know you're happy with me, give me this is the link, give me a
Yep.
LinkedIn recommendation. And that goes a long way to showing people, oh, other people have worked with this person, they like them. So social proof is so important. What you say about yourself,
Yes.
not even close to what other people can say about you. And so don't make people like call and find resume like recommendations. Don't make them do the work. You do the work. Like
Yes.
get those recommendations in, so that somebody is like, okay, when they say I want to go to the next step. And this is something even in business. If you want somebody to buy something,
Yep.
remove every obstacle,
Yep.
just no friction. So if, for example, if I want to check that you're going to be a good uh, person to work with, but then I have to pick up the call or send a bunch of emails, guess what, you're going to lose me. But then if
Yes.
I scroll through your profile, right, and then I see some people have said amazing things about you, you've made my life easier. So think of it from a perspective of, how can I help the hiring person, how can I help them hire me, right? how
Yes.
can i how can i
Totally.
make yeah, how can I make it easy for them? So for example, what do they want to know? They want to know your personality. They want to know that you're human. Can I make video content?
Yep.
They want to know about my technical skills. Can I showcase that some way? Like, do I put it up on a website that I own? Do I
Yep.
put it up as a portfolio of some sorts? There's so many ways to host this information. Just
Yep.
put it out there so that make it easy for somebody to hire you. Make
Yep.
it easy for somebody to see your capacity and skills. And if you look at it from that perspective of like, I am a product. I'm selling this product. How do I make this product very attractive to the potential
Yes.
buyers? That's such a good way to look at it.
And it's such an incredible way for a job seeker to take some power back, because
Mm,
so often we think, oh, okay, this person has a job. I want the job. So they have all the power and I have no power. I have to beg for the job. No, you do not, right?
yes.
Because if you can, be in control of the information that the employer has access to about you, if you can provide them easy answers, like you're saying, Jonas, on your LinkedIn profile and in how your personal branding appears to them, you're taking back the power, or at least some of the power. They still have the job, but you get to be in control of what kind of content you're putting out there, how you're being perceived. You're getting to sort of like set a bit of a tone that is going to change the way that a potential employer sees you, right? And that is so incredible. And so many people don't bother taking advantage of that.
I mean, this is true on so many levels. This is so
Yes.
true. Um and and this is the reality. Like, I think we're doing a lot of outbound job searching, right?
Yep.
And what I say a lot is, you should try and make it inbound. That is what you should make
Yeah.
your network work for you. You should make your profile work for you. You should get your LinkedIn so that people see your profile. For example, earlier you're saying just people click connect. To be honest, right now, like when I look at my LinkedIn, right, the content that I put out, the niche that I'm in, there are some cases where I know I can just send connection requests and people don't accept. I don't
Yep.
even need to write some, because
Totally.
I know my LinkedIn does the work. Where if they
Yep.
open my LinkedIn, they go through, they're gonna 100% accept me. So
Yes.
so it's so powerful once you've done that branding, once you've made yourself out, if you put yourself out there, it's
Yep.
so powerful. And then you can get recruiters. That's how it is. Like
Yes.
they're in your DMs, like, hey, we have this job opening, we have this thing,
100%.
because and that's where you want to be. You want to be at a place and where jobs come to you, so you
Yep.
have the power, as opposed to where somebody else does. So you are in control of your own destiny. And
Yes. 100%.
yeah, I mean, I'm super passionate about this because we are releasing soon. We're a marketplace for the Mado talents that
Ooh.
we support. And the main reason is because we want it to be inbound. We want to
Yep.
promote that so that people who have jobs will come, and then now the power will switch.
Yeah.
Like if we have a really good brand that says Mado has amazing people, the
Yep.
power will switch and the talent will have the power now to choose between the offers that come through them. So I mean, I feel like we're destined to chat. Like, so perfect.
We are. And
We
that's
are.
such an incredible sort of mission for you to have, right? To put some of that power back in the hands of the candidate, because that's truly where some of the power belongs. And just because of, the way that our culture works and the way that we talk about, applying and interviewing and the way that process looks, it can be so easy to forget that candidates have so much to offer and that they are interviewing the employer just as much as the employer is interviewing them. And so, yeah, I love that you're looking to sort of like turn the tables a little bit on the way that this all works.
I think so, because the space is chaos right now. If you're, let's say, exceptional, your chance of getting discovered is so difficult with the model that we have. And so one of the things that I believe is, and there's a saying in the Bible, it says, do you see a man skilled in his work, he will not serve common men, he'll serve kings. And I've
Yeah,
always like really appreciated that. It's like the power, in reality it is like, we've companies fight for exceptional talent, they
yeah,
do, but then it's kind of like the discovery process is so tough to find them though. So I want to make it so that anybody who's exceptional, I just want them to be at Mado so that their life is easier,
yeah,
because once they get discovered, it's over, right?
yeah,
They get a ridiculous opportunity, but now it's like 1,000 people apply. It's all paper based. Who's
yeah.
good? Everybody says they're amazing. It's
Yes, of
absolute,
course.
yeah. It's lunacy. So I'm like, okay, we need to change the way this works, because
We
it doesn't
do.
make any sense.
We
Um,
do. And right now I hear as much from job seekers like, oh, the market is really tough. But I also hear a lot from employers who are saying it's really hard to find good people.
yes,
That is something I hear as often as the opposite. But we
yes.
know those good people are out there. So again, how can we connect those two?
Yeah, and we're doing it. So we're like, we're starting very
Yeah,
small.
you
It's
are.
gonna be like the Ethiopian talent pool, but you never know what's gonna happen in the future. But I do believe that um, exceptional people, they need a platform, and then we're building it. We're just
Yeah.
gonna have the platform so that it's very easy for them to get discovered. And then once you build a good brand, it's gonna take off. So questions. Oh, Manoj. Okay. He says, if I'm nervous to start networking, can you suggest some tips to get started? And before
Ooh.
you get going, if you have any questions, this is the time. So we're getting kind of close to the end. So if you have any questions, first of all, thank you all so much for attending. LinkedIn chat is a bit weird with, um, you know, with the chat. Sometimes I can't see some of the stuff that you post, so I apologize in advance if I can't get to it. But if you have any questions, please put it in the chat, and then I will get to it. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, I love that my dear business partner set me up with a great question there. So while we're waiting for everyone else to ask, I can start with that. Um, First of all, I just want to normalize that like being nervous about networking is 100% normal. Everyone is nervous, even the most extroverted social person in the world. If they are reaching out to someone who they really admire or who seems a little bit intimidating, everyone is nervous. Um, I think honestly, though, my best advice is if you're nervous, do it anyway. You have to push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. And the beautiful thing about networking online is that you can take the time to craft the message. So many of us, when you meet someone in person and you're a little bit frazzled, you shake their hand and you put your foot in your mouth, you say the wrong thing. There's no danger of that when you're reaching out to someone on LinkedIn. And so use that to your advantage. If you're really nervous about it, reaching out to someone on LinkedIn, taking some time to craft a message that, is genuine and sincere and really gives a reason for why you want to connect with them, that is your opportunity to make such a good first impression. And I promise you, once you hit send on that first message, your nerves are going to start to dissipate, right? You're going to start to get to know that person. You're going to start to connect with them. And then it's going to feel like your old friends, right? Um, so that's my best advice. Honestly, if you're
Wow.
nervous, do it anyway.
Yep. Nike has such a good message for all of us, right? Just do it. Just
Just
do
do it.
it. And with work, and this is something that now that I'm in kind of in business, you have to find, you have to sell to everybody in your business.
Yeah,
Like when it's sales, like for example, I have to find work for every talent. But then when a person is finding work for themselves, you just have to succeed once. That's it.
yes,
You don't have to succeed like hundreds and thousands. You're not a salesperson regularly, so you only have to get one deal. You have to close one opportunity, and
yeah,
you have a job. So it's kind of like, I think when you're an individual, it feels overwhelming, but then the positive side is you just need to get that one opportunity, and
totally.
then they all build on themselves. So for example, if you're looking for remote work out of North America, the first landing that first job is going to be really, really tough.
Yep.
But then the moment you do, and you have
Oh
that
yeah,
on your resume, and you can
you're good.
say, yeah, I've worked with a Canadian or a US company before. The moment you can say that, like you just move so fast now. So it does feel overwhelming. And I know that I talk to a lot of people, even, and speaks to a lot of what you say. Like I was talking to somebody who is basically almost a chief operations officer for like a marketing agency. And I was talking to her, okay, what kind of roles are you looking for? And she said, well, if I could find any copywriting roles. And I'm just looking at her just like, what? She's like, yeah, any copywriting roles. Like I've done a lot. And I'm like, it's so hard trying to find work globally that a lot of people are just like, they've sold themselves really low where they're not
Totally.
confident. And it's like, no, you have a lot to offer. Like you're
Yes,
amazing, you're so
yes.
awesome. Like I would never look for a copywriting job for you. Like
No.
minimum, you have to be an account manager, minimum.
Yes.
And like
Minimum.
and a lot of it is like building into people and letting them know you're valuable, you have worth.
You are.
Like your
And have
education is
confidence.
important.
Have confidence in that,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes, it's so. I've met a lot of people that even though they've an amazing resume, they've learned a lot. They are passionate. They're hungry. They're ready. I've met a lot of people who have been really discouraged, and one of the things I want to say is don't be discouraged. Like there is a way you can make it. And I know that Keely is doing the same work on this side with a lot of people trying to transition into
Yeah.
careers or find jobs. And I want to say the same to anybody who's watching this. If you're global and you're having a hard time breaking into the market, um man, don't lose heart. Like
No.
there is a way, there is opportunity, and you
There's
can do
so
it.
much opportunity, and there's so many people out there who, will see. They will see what you have to offer. They will see how they can help you. They will see how you can help them sometimes. Yeah. So I mean, I love your optimism, Jonas, because I totally share that. I think it is really, really easy to be nervous, to get discouraged. And that's totally valid. But if you can find a way to sort of move past that, and feel optimistic, feel confident in what you have to offer, eventually it will happen.
Hey, it does. I mean, people find jobs every day.
Every
Every
day.
day people find jobs every day. It will happen, it will take time. It is a lot of work. And I set context sometimes because people, and this is kind of interesting because I was talking to somebody and I asked them, hey, I live in Canada. Like if I started looking for work today, how long do you think it would take me to find work? And they were like, I don't know, to tomorrow? Like, and I was like, oh, you think jobs grow on trees, huh? Like,
No,
oh no, it's like Keely, you're much better positioned. What would you say our average is for that? Just so
I
people
would
have a better.
say, I mean, first of all, I would say that even just getting through a recruitment process takes at least 2 months. And that means that you apply for something, you get an interview, and you're successful. And so even just that process takes 2 months. So yes, no, you have to have really, really realistic expectations. And if you are, on the job market right now, if you're looking, um, you have to be doing all the right things. And even if you're doing all the right things, it still might take you 6 months to a year.
Yeah. So I think we can probably close off soon. I am waiting for questions. I don't see any. One, thank you all for the people that are saying thank you and appreciating us. I do see one question, Bisrat. I'll get to it right after. But what I want to say is, if you're hopping off, connect with Keely, connect with me.
Yes,
She, we didn't really get a chance to talk about WorkSpark, but that is
that's
the
fine.
company that Keely leads, and they help people find work. Tends to be more, I would say. Do you guys do any global work, or is
We
it more
we
like
we have, yep. We have. I've had some, clients who have been in India, in various places. So, lots of opportunities, obviously, sort of more locally to where WorkSpark is. But we also do support folks who, are looking for Canadian resumes, how to sort of tailor things to that Canadian market in terms of, like personal branding, those kinds of things. So we didn't have much time to talk about it today, but just go to workspark.ca and everything you need to know is there.
perfect? There you go. I should have asked this because this is awesome. So, Keely is one of my favorite people. Check out her LinkedIn as well. Like, she makes these
Yes.
videos. Like,
Some of which are rather embarrassing, I will say.
look,
I'm
I
seeing
love
some of
them. I
them.
love them. It shows so much personality, and every time I see them, it makes me so happy. It makes my heart happy. I'm like, Kitty is there. I would always watch them. And what I want to say is, check out her LinkedIn, follow her, um, reach out. Like, if you're even
Please
globally,
do.
like, if you, yeah, reach out, see if there's any synergies over to in there. What do you think? Bisrat says, what do you think has less supply of talent in North America, especially? What do you think has less supply of talent in North America, especially in tech? Okay, I'm gonna understand your question in a certain way. I might be wrong, so correct me if I am. Um, I've noticed a lot of people and who are like, okay, where can I find a job? And then I'm gonna skill myself in that area,
Yeah.
right? And one of the things that I tell people is a career is like a 40, 50-year journey. So don't if you're gonna be in it for a while, so try and find that overlap between what can I get paid for and then what do I like doing.
Yep.
If you don't have both, it's gonna be, even if you make money, if you're spending 8 hours out of your day, maybe more, at work during the weekdays. So to me, always try and find something that you're passionate about. So in terms of like right now, I've seen a lot. Like, I've seen a lot of people start to skill themselves on like QA work in tech. Like, a lot of, because the entry barrier is very low. You can
Yep.
learn how to do QA as opposed to like coding. I've seen a lot of that. Tech is a bit tough right now, though. I'll just be honest.
Yep. It
The
is.
market is very competitive. So just look into um what you like doing, like, what you like doing. That's a lot better way for longevity. You're gonna enjoy the work that you have, which will help you become even more successful. So have that
Yeah.
mindset is always my suggestion. And then explore outside of tech, marketing, sales, huge areas. Like, you, and if you have the, especially when you have, if you want to be more technical, digital marketing,
Yep.
SEO, very good places to go in, where you could build up a technical side while also having like a soft skill side. If you want to be fully soft skills, sales is a very good place to go in.
Mhm.
There's so many opportunity. Go ahead. You
And
want to
I
say
was just going to
something?
say there's lots of technical opportunities outside of the tech industry.
Yes,
Look at the public sector, look at healthcare. There's so many ways to work in tech without actually working in the tech industry. And that is, I think, a way to sort of expand your purview. If you're having a tough time finding opportunities in like working for a tech company right now, look outside of tech companies. They hire people with technical expertise all the time.
I agree 100%. And a lot of companies, especially corporate, they are going through a digital
Oh,
transformation.
yeah.
So they love their tech people now, data analysts.
Yes,
All the tech people, they love them. So in a sense, even if you can't get into the typical tech industry, you can get into tech with a normal looking company. So that's such a good tip as well. Okay, so I am gonna end this off. Thank you all so much. Whoever came, like I've seen up to like 75 people that attended today, which is amazing. Thank you
that's
all so much
fantastic.
for coming. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, follow me on LinkedIn. I'm planning on doing a lot more of these kind of things. If you loved this, if you found this useful, please let us know in the comments. Let me know. Give us a thumbs up. Like my love
Yes.
language is positive words of affirmation. Okay. If you want to know, if you want to show me love, tell me I'm doing a great job. Like I
Well,
am not
I'm gonna give
ashamed.
you some positive affirmation. I loved this
Yes.
conversation so much, Jonas. Thank you so much for inviting me, and, if you ever wanna do it again, I'm game.
Oh, 100%. We're definitely going to do this again. Yeah, like it's been a blast like having you. Like I was so excited just even when we started talking and we're like, okay, let's do this. I've been very, very excited just to have you today. Um, and I mean, that was such a good conversation.
It was.
I learned a lot. I enjoyed myself, and we're gonna continue to do this.
Me too.
100%. Yeah, we're gonna have a future session. And if you loved Keely, tell her let her know we loved Keely. She was amazing. And then send her a message. Say, hey, thank you, Keely. You're great.
Yes,
Yeah, send
totally.
her a message. Okay, thank you so much. All the best until next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.